So you guys know Bill Nye, right? If you've ever taken a science class in elementary school or middle school, you've probably seen one or two of his videos because his whole thing is that he wants to try to make science engaging and accessible to young children. So he has like a whole show. But anyway, I'm not sure how successful he is on that front. He might be like the best science guy ever. But when he tries to weigh in on political and social issues, well, then I have a problem because it becomes clear that he doesn't have a a thorough understanding of the arguments of the issue that he's commenting on. And I think this video that CNN put out called Bill Nye Slams Anti-Abortion Activists is a perfect example of that because he raises the same pro-choice talking points that have been answered repeatedly. Like, we've been answering these kinds of things for years at this point. But regardless, let's hear him out. Let's see what he has to say and correct him when necessary. And trust me, it's going to be very necessary.
When it comes to women's rights with respect to their reproduction, I think you should leave it to women.
Yeah, that's the first mistake already. We're like 5 seconds in, and he's made the common error of associating abortion with a women's rights issue. Problem is, it isn't a women's rights issue. It is an issue of ethics. It is an issue of personhood, when exactly that begins, what a human life ultimately is, and how valuable it actually is. This whole campaign to pretend that the abortion debate is about women's rights is just pathetic. It's absurd, and you're going to see why in a second.
Nobody likes abortion.
All right, Mr. Nye, with all due respect, if nobody likes abortion, then why is the Democratic Party using that as one of their primary issues that they're running on? The presidential candidate for the Democratic Party in 2024 is running on defending the, quote, right for a woman to choose. Okay, if nobody likes abortion, how come it's on demand? How come it's so easy to obtain? That's what on demand means. How come people are objecting to laws that make it harder to obtain one? If nobody likes it, then why do people defend it? Why, again, is it being used as a primary issue for the Democrats? This doesn't make any sense. I don't, with all due respect, I don't grant you the idea that people don't like it.
Okay? But you can't tell somebody what to do.
So, problem is, if we're taking the argument that he's trying to make, which is like a poorly articulated version of the my body, my choice argument, the reason that we get to, in fact, tell you that you can't have an abortion is because, from our view, the unborn baby inside the womb is just as morally valuable. It has the same moral worth as you and I do. So if that's true, grant us that for a second for the sake of argument, then yes, we do in fact get to tell you that you can't do that. Especially because with the whole my body, my choice argument, it's actually not just as simple as, oh, well, the woman is doing something with her body and you can't tell her what to do with it. No, she's infringing on the body of somebody else. Just because it's inside her doesn't necessarily give her the right to terminate it, especially not if, like I said, it has the same moral worth as you or I.
I mean, she has rights over this, especially if she doesn't like the guy that got her pregnant.
So again, I can just respond with, if that's true, that the fetus or baby, as I like to say, because that's the accurate term, if it's true that it has the same moral worth, then it doesn't necessarily matter how the circumstances went for, the creation of the child. It has moral worth. It has a right to life that everybody has. And because of that, the argument that, oh, well, what about, all the what ifs? What if this happens? What if she doesn't like the person? What if she's poor? What if this or that? All of them can be completely sidesteps and don't have to be answered if we get to the core of the issue. Because at its core, if it's true that an unborn baby has the same moral worth as you or I or a toddler or, anybody else, then these arguments hold no weight. They're just distractions.
Especially if she were raped and all this.
Okay, the rape thing. This is controversial even in the pro-life circles. But the way that I answer this as a Catholic is that two wrongs don't make a right, essentially. Two evils aren't going to solve the problem. Because we ultimately return to the same issue of moral worth. Is it morally equivalent to murder if there's an abortion going on? If so, then it's not acceptable to abort, even in the very tragic circumstance that is rape. Because when we actually get down to the morals and ethics of it, that isn't acceptable either. Now I understand that's a controversial position. I'm willing to defend it, willing to discuss it with anybody in depth, but that's our position as Catholics.
We have so many more important things to be dealing with. We have so many more problems. To squander resources on this argument based on bad science.
Okay, two things. The last point about science, I actually don't appeal to science when talking about abortion with people. I don't have to, because again, this debate is ultimately about ethics. It's ultimately about philosophy. And so science is helpful, I guess, but it's not necessary to bring up in the discussion. And again, I hate to repeat myself, but this issue is of the highest importance if abortion is actually equivalent to murder. Because again, if it is, then we've been legalizing murder for years.
On just lack of understanding. At some point, we have to respect the facts.
Yeah, so if we're talking about the facts, if we're granting certain facts about how the human person is valuable, what gives the human person value at all, if we're granting these ideas that human beings have a natural right to life, then the facts are that abortion just does not stand the ethical scrutiny and should be illegal the same way that we make murder illegal. And I think that's all he has to say.
Recommending or insisting on
No, it's not. No, he still has a little bit more.
abstinence has been completely ineffective. Not giving women access to birth control has not been an effective way to lead to healthier societies. So I just really encourage you to not tell women what to do and not pursue these laws that really are in nobody's best interest.
Well, to respond to your last point again, they're in the best interests of the lives that are being lost when an abortion is performed. But let's just grant the abstinence thing for the sake of argument. I don't have any data on this. I rarely have to pull data for videos because I like to stick to the philosophy and ideas and positions behind things. But again, let's just grant the abstinence thing. Abstinence failing doesn't necessarily justify murder if abortion is equivalent to murder. The whole question of this whole debate is abortion morally equivalent to murder? If so, then none of these arguments hold any weight. If not, then okay, go ahead and use whatever arguments you want. But if abortion is morally equivalent to killing just a normal human being that's outside the womb, then all these arguments hold no water. So I'll just make a very quick case to end this off of why abortion can be considered murder. So murder, it has to be premeditated. That's what separates murder from killing. So the premeditated killing of a human being is how it's defined, I believe. I don't have the dictionary definition on hand, but I believe that's how it's defined. And so if the fetuses are human beings, which they are biologically, and if they have the same moral worth, which again leads into the discussion of philosophy, religion, because we as Catholics believe in the image of God concept. That's what gives us our value. Grant that to us for the sake of argument, or just grant that any human being has the right to live and abortion doesn't survive. And it is considered murder because it's a premeditated killing of another human being. And that's just a very basic surface level case. There's a lot of issues to get into with that, a lot of philosophy to get into in that. But I think that is a basic case to get things started, get things on the road. And if you guys disagree or have any comments or have anything that you think I should comment on, then don't be afraid to share that with me in the comment section. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And I will see you guys in the next video. God bless.